here. Very excited to continue the conversation that Allie already started. So like she said, she really talked about the PR version, and I'm going to start with the beginning, building the content that you are outreaching. So my name is Katy Katz. I've been working in marketing of some capacity for almost 10 years now. Started in high school. I actually only went to school half day and then worked at IC Johnson, which you might have heard of, the other half of the day, recruiting for marketing. So I've been doing it for a while, and I really like it. I really like internet marketing, and I'm really excited to talk about it because I really, really like it. So today I'm talking about how to build your content from the ground up and why it's actually important to think about outreach when you're building your content. So if you wait until the end and you build your content before, you're going to really miss out on a lot of opportunities. And I'll actually give an example of how we did that. Miss out on an opportunity. I'm going to give my formula for outreachable content, my very secret sauce, and some of it might be obvious, and I hope some of it's interesting. Selecting the right influencers to outreach to, which Allie talked about a little bit, but also just making sure that you're conscious about who you're selecting and not just trying to go after Forbes because they're the biggest publisher that you can think of. And then how to get primary research so that so that your content is interesting and relevant to them. And finally, I'm going to give an example a real-time case study. So this top sentence is when I was trying to think about building content for outreach, I condensed it into a PowerPoint, and then I tried to condense it into one sentence. And so that's kind of what this green is here. In outreach, the best content is at the intersection of your target market's interests and the interests of the locations that you're outreaching to, trying to get to link to your post. So you're trying to find that perfect blend of what your target market would be interested in, but also something that publication is, they're not going to want to link to something random now. You know, they want something that's important to their readers as well. So just make sure when you're pitching these things that you're pitching something that's relevant to these writers. They're people too. They want the same things you want. They want more people to their websites. They want people to read it and like it and come back. So just pitch something that's relevant and they're gonna like it. It's as simple as that. So here's my formula for how to do that. Find your target market and make a persona for it. This is, kind of marketing 101. You learn about it in your introduction to marketing classes, but it's really important, and I think it gets forgotten a lot, and should be back to these link building strategies. Put it at the right stage for your buyers. So by doing that, you can create a message map, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Make sure you're always tapping into human psychology. There's so much craveable content, and if you start thinking about that when you're creating your content, it'll make your content so much better, and it's an easy thing. I have a list. Put a news hook with it, and that's where you're bringing in the interests of the people who you're outreaching to. So we'll start talking about that with the primary research, and I have some tools and ideas. And then finally, get it seen. If it doesn't get seen, it didn't happen. The proverbial tree in the woods. It might feel less so on the internet because the internet has a footprint, but we've all seen those Google traffic trends trend down and down and down and disappear into infinity. So to start with, who you're building your content for on your website. Just basically wanted to cover, before you do anything, obviously you need to understand your customer. That's going to make your content as good as it can be. So personas are the aspect of someone's character as perceived by others. They're who your target market is. We take our personas very seriously at Collegius. We know what they ate for dinner, we know where they went shopping with their sister. So it's a real person to us, and that way when we're creating content for them, we're creating content for a friend that we understand, and it helps us create something that is valuable and real. And that's a trend I think that you're going to hear with all three of our presentations, and you're probably hearing it all over the industry, is human to human, be real, be authentic. It's really easy to get lost behind the cloud of the internet and just be another data number, but bringing that humanity is what this 2014 link building is all about. And so one more way you can make it relevant for your readers is by building a message map that shows what stage in the buying cycle they are and helping map your content along that so that you're putting content right out at the time when they're searching a keyword and what is their intent behind that keyword, where are they in the buying process, what perfect content can you put out there that's going to trigger them onto that next stage. And so the next step in my secret formula would be tapping into human psychology. And this is, I don't know if this is familiar to some of you, it's from Content Marketing Institute, the 21 types of content we all crave. It's some simple psychology principles of things that are important to people. Stuff that makes us feel good, stuff that stretches our brain and makes us have to work a little bit to read it. You're going to kind of continue through the infographic if it's inspiring your curiosity, giving us answer to a question that we have. That's kind of an obvious one. Something that shares good news. People want to be part of that. People want to jump on the bandwagon and share the excitement. Something that surprises us or tells us a story. And then that's how you get your customers, but why would the news, they don't care. Like, great, you have a story, we have a million stories. So you have to have something in there that's gonna bring them in too. And so these are some typical things that news outlets will look for, or bloggers, or people who you'll be outreaching to, are a timely or current event, news statistic that challenges the status quo, exclusive information. I'm outreaching to you ahead of time, Forbes, because you are the most important to me and I want you to have this exclusive content. Old news plus new advice, you can refresh something. It doesn't necessarily have to be brand new news that nobody's heard of if you blend it with some new advice. So I'm actually guest posting, which is a bad word, an article right now where there's a video that went viral, and it's in one of my verticals is nursing, and so it's all over the nursing industry, and I'm trying to make it relevant for my publication that I'm writing it for by adding some personal stories to it, adding some advice to it, and just spinning the story a little bit so they have something unique. And of course the good old bait and ego of the writer, or the publisher, or something to excite them. And the next step is to make it a resource. So something that people are going to want to come back to. So that's really what that's why people are linking to a website, right? Because they want to come back to it, they want to reference it again. They think that it's something that's going to help them again in the future. So that's kind of where you come up with these best of articles. Oh, and by the way, if you create a badge that says, I was listed as the best of blog on this website, they're going to put that on their blog, and then you get a link for the image every time someone puts that on their blog. So little things like that you can still do, which are very valuable. And this one actually was kind of funny. I didn't create a badge, and he created his own badge and linked it anyway. So I got a bunch of links from that. But, kind of standard things. Make an embeddable infographic. These are things that probably are pretty familiar to you, but create a tool or resource that others will want to come back to, like a chart or a calculator. There's a really great example on this link that I attached here of a calculator that he really likes. And then of course the standard ebooks, case studies, white papers, that's what PR people and outreach people are really starting to talk about right now. That's where you can get that primary research. And that's something that's really exciting to news sites. They like to hear a new study that's come out, data about collecting the data and analyzing it in a way that creates information of how people can impact and change their lives. So here's some of my suggestions for getting primary research, and I was noticed on Allie's presentation that I completely forgot to put SurveyMonkey, another really great inexpensive tool for getting primary research. It's not just a free tool to ask who's ordering what sandwich at your office that day. You can use it to outreach to other people or get information from other people. Another suggestion, gated website content, gated content on your website or post-purchase surveys on your website, which are kind of biased a little bit because they're your customers. So Google actually has a really inexpensive consumer survey option where it works on a publishing site. So like on New York Daily News, if somebody was reading through it, partway through their article, they get stopped and asked a question to continue. And then they have to answer the question, and it's a very accurate way of getting survey information because they want to continue reading their article. And it's really inexpensive for the market research company or for you. It's usually somewhere between 10 cents to $2 per response. So it's so much cheaper than the old options that we used to have for getting primary market research. And then once you have this epic content that you've created, you have to get it out there and be seen. And so that's, kind of what Allie was talking about, building those real relationships as you're going. And sometimes that can just mean reaching out to the outlet that you're interested in having it published on ahead of time and saying, hey, I'm working on this case study. There's some really interesting insights coming out of it. I think that your readers are really going to be interested in this, so you should just get ready. It's coming. And keep up the conversation with them. Find out if they like golden doodles and tweet to them about it. Be real. They're people too. I think I already said that, but I really mean it. And so this is an interesting tweet that I saw in this article about, this article is actually about journalists' pet peeves about people like me outreaching to them. And this is kind of a very common, I'm sure you've seen this in an email. Say, hey, I just saw you wrote about X, Y, and Z. So you'd probably be interested about my new interesting study on X, Y, and Z. And they're like, well, we just wrote about it, so we don't need a new study on it, but thanks, but no thanks. So, it's a way, just be real, Like if you see they talk about oranges, they probably like oranges, but they're gonna wanna talk about blood oranges, Like change a little bit, give them something interesting that's in their line of thinking. So this is an example for one of our clients. We partnered with a company called Distill to create this very cool tool for them. It's perfect for their persona. They're college students. They're trying to figure out, this is a keyword, what career is right for me. They're working along this path, and so we created this very dynamic tool that walks them through the path. It's really exciting. I can't read, it's so small. What's your motivation? What's your role that you're looking for? What type of location? How much competition do you want? And it kind of what we did a Google consumer surveys. We got all this firsthand data. 73% of workers use skills they learned on the job. We have all these great insights in this tool. People are going to want to link to this. This is exciting. But can anybody tell me what is missing about the format of this tool? Well, that's kind of how we felt. When we started it up, we're really excited, we have a great tool. Well, it turns out news sites don't really want to link to a tool. They're like, okay, great, you have a tool. They want to link to the data. And so we created a white paper. We took all that data and put it in, and it was part of the tool. And included all the primary research. We wrapped it up into this. American workers are stuck in a rut. Here's all the data about it. And as you can see, that's where it started getting interest. Now we've got Fox News wants to talk about it, and Huffington Post, and you were getting these relevant links like Avid Careerist, which is a smaller niche blog, but it's perfect, exactly the target demographic that we wanted to be talking about the same conversation we're having. So that's kind of the idea. So to sum it up, build that influencer trust as you're going, build relationships, be a person, be authentic, and when you're building your content, have that end goal of outreach in your mind so that when you're building it, it's actually ready to be outreached and you're not running to put together your white paper at the last minute. Make it a resource that people want to link back to. Have something that's interesting, primary research or a calculator or an interactive map. And find a way to keep those relationships going so that you have friends you can just reach out to your chum and say, hey buddy, let's put it on. So, thank you.